Okay, let's see here. We've got some people rolling in here. Good morning. Good morning. Everyone's coming on in here. Happy Thursday, everyone. We're almost near the weekend. I'm super excited about that. Let's see here. I'm seeing some familiar names here. Love it. So we're just going to give another minute for people to kind of roll in. And then we'll get started. I'm super excited for today's webinar. It's going to be a little bit different as far as me not sharing the dashboard and talking about a few other items that I feel are super important. So excited to get going on that. Let's see here. We still have people coming in. You know, if you don't mind, I would love to know, I know some of you already, but for others, I'd love for you to share where you're from. Get an idea of, who's joining us today. I would love that. Yeah, Central Florida. How is the weather in Florida? I'm in the I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and it's a little chilly today. Okay, awesome. And don't mind me, I'm just kind of flipping through screens. Hot and humid, don't like that. Oh my gosh, Rocky Point originally, or you're currently in Rocky Point. I've been there many, many times. I actually lived in Phoenix for 8 years. Loved Rocky Point. Okay, awesome. Well, let's go ahead. We have a lot to cover today, so I want to go ahead and get started. So let's just kind of get going here. So hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Lisa, if you don't already know me, and on call with us today is Amber, our onboarding specialist. Some of you may have already met her before. So as I mentioned earlier when we got started, today's webinar is going to be a little different. It's not going to be a feature by feature product demonstration. Instead, we're going to focus on something I think is more valuable, and that's really how to create and build the habits that help your CRM become one of the most important tools in your business. So whether you've been using Revolve for a short time or several years, I know a couple of you on here have been with us for a very long time, I'm super excited that you're here. And one thing I've learned from working with and coaching hundreds of agents over the years, gosh, I can't believe I'm saying that because I've been in the business for 25, is that success doesn't come from having the most technology. It's coming from being consistent in all areas of your business. Excuse me. And the agents who seem to have everything under control aren't necessarily working more hours. They're following those repeatable processes that help them stay organized, remember the important details, and provide that exceptional experience for every client. And that's exactly what Revolve is here to help you accomplish. So throughout today's webinar, I'm going to share some of the best practices that we've seen from some of our top users and teams. Just a few simple habits that can save you time, help you build stronger relationships with your clients. So as we go through today's presentation, I encourage you not to think about trying to change everything tomorrow because that's impossible. Instead, listen for one or two ideas that really resonate with you. Small improvements made consistently, and I'm going to use consistently throughout this presentation. So small improvements made consistently often produce the biggest results, and I know we're all looking for those results. So just a friendly reminder, as you all know, today's webinar is being recorded, and this is not a support call. I just want to make that clear. So if you need assistance, please submit a support ticket or email us at support@Revolve, and one of our team members will be more than happy to help. Also, I wanted to share with you after today's recording, I will go ahead and email all attendees a copy of the recording as well as a supplemental workbook that maybe you can reference and take notes on for yourself. So, and then of course, if I have time, I do want to share a couple coming soons within Revolve that I'm pretty excited about. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in. So here's kind of where we're headed today. Again, you're going to notice I'm not talking about every feature inside Revolve. That's intentional. Instead, I want to focus on the habits that help agents get the most value from the platform. So I'm going to start by discussing why your CRM should become the central hub of your business, not just another place where you occasionally store contacts. Then next, we're going to talk about maintaining a healthy database. So think of your CRM as an investment. The more accurate and organized your information is, the more valuable it's going to become over time. I'm also going to discuss managing leads consistently because we all know that great follow-up is one of the biggest predictors of success in real estate. From there, we'll take a brief look at workflows and automation, not to replace the relationships, but to support them. Automation should help you remember the things that matter so you can spend more time building those meaningful conversations. I'll also talk about creating simple daily routines that keep your business moving forward without feeling overwhelming. And then finally, we'll wrap together with some practical habits that you can begin implementing immediately. So by the end of today's session, my goal is for you to leave with a clear action plan, not just more information. So let's start with a mindset. Let's set with a mindset shift that can completely change how you use the CRM. So when many agents first purchase a CRM, and I'm one of those, they think of it as a digital address book. It's where the names and phone numbers live. That's great. But most importantly, Revolve users see it very differently. They view it as the operating system for their business. So think about everything that happens during a transaction. You're communicating with buyers and sellers, you're coordinating home inspections, you're scheduling appointments, you're managing deadlines, you're keeping track of conversations, you're sending follow-up emails, you're planning future touch points after closing. That's a tremendous amount of information to keep in your head and on paper. So the goal isn't to remember everything yourself. The goal is to build a system that remembers you. So when everything is centralized inside Revolve, you don't spend your day wondering, did I follow up? Or where did I write that note? That's a big one. Instead, you have confidence that your business is organized and your next steps are already waiting for you. This also creates consistency for your clients. So every buyer, every seller, every lead receives the same thoughtful experience because your systems help ensure everything that nothing gets overlooked. We don't want to overlook anything. So if you think about it, Revolve is just helping you manage your it's not just helping you manage contacts. It's helping you manage your relationships. And those relationships are ultimately what build your business. So, of course, every great system starts with good information, which brings us to that first best practice. So, if I could recommend just one habit that every Revolve user should develop, it would be this one. Take care of your database. Your CRM is only as powerful as the information in it. So, think of it this way. If your contacts don't have email addresses or automated emails, you can't reach them. If phone numbers are outdated, text messages won't be delivered. If there are duplicate contacts, conversations become fragmented and it's harder for the full picture of your relationship. So really good data creates better automation, but it also creates better decision making. So one practice I recommend is schedule a recurring appointment on your calendar every week. It could be every Friday morning or whatever time works best for you. For me, because I'm in it almost all day, every day, not only coaching, but for my own business, I do keep in touch with my database and I am updating it. I'm probably maybe 10 minutes a day, maybe 5 contacts. I just want to make sure all my information is updated. So look for those duplicate contacts, update those phone numbers and email addresses. Complete missing information. Archive the contacts that are no longer relevant. meaning tag them, categorize them, or simply delete them. The last thing you want in your database is a bunch of non-responsive leads from years ago. It's not doing anything for you. It doesn't have to take an hour. Even 15, 20 minutes each week can make a huge difference over time. So I also encourage you to think beyond contact information. Use those notes. So you want to capture birthdays, family members, children's names, pets, hobbies, even their favorite restaurant. So, because anything that you can remember and that you notate is going to help you build that stronger relationship because people remember how you make them feel. When you remember the details that matter to them, your follow-up will become so much more personal and meaningful. And your database, it's not just a list of names, it's one of the most valuable business assets you will ever build. So the cleaner, the better. Treat it the same way you would any other investment because it has potential to generate and repeat business for years to come. Once you build that database, the database is healthy. The next step is making sure every contact has a purpose. So let's talk about why every active contact should be connected to a workflow. And many of you that I've coached, you have heard me say this before. Everyone on your database should be on a workflow unless maybe they're another realtor or a vendor, but we have multiple workflows. You just kind of circle them through that circle of life. They should be on a workflow. So this is going to bring us to practice item number 2. One of the biggest mistakes I see isn't the agents forgetting to follow up. It's that they don't have a clear plan for what needs to happen next. When someone enters your CRM, ask yourself one question. Where are they on their journey? Every contact is somewhere in the life cycle of your business. Maybe they're a brand new online lead. Maybe you've just finished a buyer consultation. Perhaps they're preparing to list their home, or they've already closed and they should be now part of your past client nurturing strategy. Wherever they are, they should have a clear path forward. This is where your workflows become extremely valuable. So what I do and what I coach as well is think of your workflows as your standard operating procedures. They create consistency not only for you, but for your clients. Every buyer receives the same professional experience. Every seller receives timely communication. Every past client stays connected long after closing. Here's something that I encourage everyone to remember. Workflows are not rigid, they're flexible. As a client's situation changes, you can move them into different workflows that better fits where they are today. The goal isn't automation for automation's sake. The goal is making sure that no one falls through the cracks. So when every active contact has a purpose, your CRM becomes much easier to manage because everyone's moving through their clearly defined journey. So now that every contact has a plan, let's talk about one of the biggest ways you can save time while still delivering an exceptional client experience. So one of the biggest misconceptions about automation is that people worry that it makes communication feel less personal, but in reality, good automation actually creates more opportunities for personal relationships. So think about everything you do repeatedly throughout the year. You send listing reminders, you congratulate clients on closing, you remind buyers about inspections, you create follow-up tasks after appointments, you nurture home buyers and home sellers that aren't quite ready to move forward. You wish them a happy home purchase anniversary. And for me, this is one activity I always keep as a manual so that I can have a unique and personal touch to them, especially when I'm sending them annual CMAs. So some things I do automatic to save my time, but there are quite a bit that I keep manual to have that personal touch. So these aren't just one-time activities. They're recurring parts of your business. So instead of recreating those tasks every single time, let Revolve handle the routine let it work for you so you can focus on the conversations that truly require your attention. So automation isn't just, it's not replacing you, it's supporting you. Look at it that way. So when repetitive tasks happen automatically, your mental energy, it's freed up for negotiations, consultations, client meetings, building relationships. So one thing I've always encouraged agents to do is automate the predictable, but personalize the meaningful. I am huge on that. We're all in this big AI phase and, we want to automate as much as possible. But when it comes to those relationships, sure, we can automate some things, but there's a lot that we want to keep on a manual level to give that personal meaning to our clients. So for example, an email can be prepared, but before you send it, if it's not automated, take 30 seconds to add a personal sentence referencing something from your last conversation. The small touch, it makes a difference. Technology should never replace those relationships. It should simply give you more time to build them. So if automation is helping you behind the scenes, what should you be looking at each day to keep everything moving? That's where the dashboard comes in. So let's take a look at this. Best practice number 4. Let's talk about the start of your day. Have you ever started your day, and I know that you have, feeling busy before you've even accomplished anything? Most of my days feel like that. We open up our email, we start scrolling through social media, text messages are coming in, our phone starts ringing, and before we know it, we're reaching out to everyone else's priorities instead of focusing on our own. So one habit I encourage every Revolve user is to develop and begin each morning with the dashboard. And I try to think of it as, and I'm learning to think of it as my morning business briefing, because I'm going in and I'm, not checking my email, but I'm going to go inside my business and I'm going to check and see, what appointments do I have today? What tasks are due? Which transactions need attention? Are there any listings approaching, with an important milestone? Or are there leads being waited to follow up on? So, excuse me, starting your day this way, it gives you clarity before distraction begins. It also helps you prioritize the activities that actually move your business forward instead of simply responding to whatever feels most urgent. So at the end of the day, I encourage you to revisit the dashboard just for a few minutes, just to maybe complete any outstanding task, update your notes, and schedule tomorrow's priorities. So that's just a simple morning and evening routine that can dramatically reduce stress because you're always ending the day with confidence nothing important has been forgotten. So think of it this way. Your dashboard isn't just a screen, it's your daily command center. So, and you can, Amber uses it as well. She's our onboarding specialist. The first thing she does, she's right on the dashboard before she even looks at emails. That's her command center for the day. So, and speaking of staying organized, let's talk about a habit that can completely transform your follow-up. If there's one habit right here, and I speak highly of this one, and many of you on call today have heard me do this. If there's one habit that separates highly organized agents from everyone else, is this one. Never end a conversation without deciding what happens next. Can't stress it enough. Every phone call, every showing, every listing appointment, consultation, every email exchange, ask yourself one simple question. What's the next step? Maybe it's scheduling another call. Maybe it's sending additional listings or introducing a lender to a buyer. Maybe it's following up, just a random follow-up and check-in 6 months later. Whatever the next step is, document it immediately. Don't wait and think that you're going to do it later. You'll forget. Don't rely on your memory. I am a huge add notes to my checklist items for those various activities. So whether it was a phone call or maybe I emailed them or something else is going on in my checklist, merge field notes, I want to update every contact record as soon as I get off the phone with them because it's impossible. One of the biggest reasons opportunities are lost, it's not because agents don't care. It's because they're juggling dozens, if not hundreds, of active relationships at the same time. No one can remember every conversation. That's exactly why we've invested in a CRM. Before moving on to your next appointment, update the notes while they're fresh in your head. Assign the appropriate workflow, create the next task, schedule the follow-up. Now you can confidently move on knowing that Revolve will remind you when it's time to reconnect. One phrase I love is this: hope. It is not a follow-up strategy. Okay? Successful agents don't hope they'll remember. They build the systems that will help them remember. So far, we've talked about building systems that help you stay organized. Next, what I want to do is I want to shift from organization to relationships because at the end of the day, real estate is still a relationship business. Okay. So before I even go into practice number 6, I do want to share that one of my favorite quotes is, people don't care how much you know until you know how much you care. In real estate, that couldn't be more true. Okay. So this leads us to best practice number 6. Think about the conversations you have every day. Clients tell you about their kids starting school or the new puppy that they just adopted, maybe a parent moved in, or how excited they are to have maybe a backyard for grandkids. Things change, so those details shouldn't, they should seem small in the moment, but they actually what transform your business into relationships, into lasting relationships. So successful agents, they don't just remember the properties or the transactions, they remember the people. That's where your CRM becomes so much more than a database. It's your relationship journal. So after each meaningful conversation, take a minute and jot down those personal details. When you call 6 months later and you just happen to ask, how's Emma enjoying her first year of college? Or, is the puppy used to running around in the backyard by himself? You're showing your clients that they matter beyond that transaction. So those moments they're not scripted. They're genuine moments. And because you've taken the time to record those details, they become much easier to recall. So remember, homes, they are emotional purchases, as we all know. People may forget the price and the closing date and what happened with, miscellaneous, but they'll remember one thing. They're going to remember how you made them feel throughout that process. So your CRM is going to help you create those moments consistently. So now that we've kind of talked a little bit about remembering people, let's talk about communicating with them in a way that is both efficient and personal. So this is going to bring me to templates. Templates are one of my favorite time-saving tools, and it's because they eliminate the need to start from scratch every time you write an email. The majority of you should know that by now. But here's the key. There's a starting point, not the finished product, okay? So imagine receiving an email that clearly feels like it was sent to hundreds of people. Compare that to an email that begins with, "It was great catching up with you yesterday. I hope your daughter enjoyed her graduation this weekend." That one sentence, it changes everything. So whenever you're using manual templates in Revolve, take 30 seconds before you send it. Add that personal greeting, mention something specific from your last conversation, reference the property that they're looking to buy or sell, acknowledge where they are in the process, okay? Those small touches, they make communication feel authentic. Remember, automation should remove repetitive work, but not, personality, to keep those manual where you can, okay? One of the greatest compliments you can, as an agent, receive when a client says, "You always make me feel like I was your own client." I'm sure that many of you have heard that before. Okay. That's what personalization creates. Technology should help you scale your business without sacrificing the relationships that make your business unique. Okay. So let's talk about one of the biggest missed opportunities we see in real estate. Okay. This is going to bring me to best practice number 8. And I often ask agents this question, and you've heard me maybe when you signed up for Revolve, if you were coaching underneath me, where do your referrals come from? Almost every time the answer is past clients, friends, family, and people they built relationships with over time. And yet many agents unintentionally disappear after closing. And I get this. I was one of those agents early in my career that would focus on the next deal. Okay. It happens to the majority of us. But think about how much work goes into helping someone buy and sell a home. You've spent weeks, if not months, building that trust and answering questions, solving problems, guiding them through one of the biggest financial decisions of their lives. So, why would you let that relationship end the moment they get the keys? So, instead, think of closing day as the beginning of a new phase. Okay. Continue providing that value. Share market updates, send that monthly newsletter, celebrate their home anniversary, reach out during the holidays, check in just because, for no reason, just call to say hi and how are things, okay? These touches don't have to be elaborate. They simply remind clients that you're still there when they need you or when someone else may need you and they know of a great agent. Okay? Relationships aren't built in one transaction. They're built over years of consistent communication. Okay. And that's exactly what Revolve can do to help you. Okay. So, how do you make sure all of these systems stay healthy? Well, the answer there is it's quite simple. A regular business review, which is going to lead me into my next slide. I know many of you, you work on your workflows and you edit your templates and you think it's one and done. You're always updating things. You always want to review your business. Okay. So I like to compare this best practice number 9 habit, scheduling a weekly business review. Okay. I want to kind of compare this to, something that you guys can relate to, like maintaining your car. Okay. You don't wait until the engine stops working before getting an oil change. Your business deserves that same attention. Okay. Every week, set aside 30 minutes, what you call a business review. I do this myself for personal, for even my Revolve coaching clients. And we actually use NAV in sales. So we use Revolve for a lot. So ask Amber, I'm constantly reviewing workflows and templates. So during this time, you're not responding to emails or answering phone calls. Okay. Just put that aside, silence everything. You're stepping back and you're looking at the health of your business. Okay. Review that pipeline. Look at new leads. Check overdue tasks. Review active listings and transactions. Identify the opportunities that may be stalling. Review a workflow and edit those templates that maybe accompany those activities so they stay fresh. Ask yourself, where do I need to spend my attention next week? Okay. These weekly reviews, they often prevent stale, small issues from becoming much bigger problems later. They're also incredibly motivating, right? Because you can clearly see the progress you're making. So successful businesses, as we know, they're not built accidentally, they're built intentionally. And intentional businesses, they create intentional client experience. So think about that. And so let's talk about this. We're nearing the end of the webinar. I just wanted to go over a few things because I am excited to show you a few things. So as we kind of near and wrap up today's webinar, I want to leave you with something simple. And after working with agents over the years, I've noticed that the most successful Revolve users, they don't necessarily know every feature inside the platform. It's so robust and can be so complicated, but it doesn't have to be, if you start out small. It's the consistent habits that they're using. Okay. So success isn't built by doing something extraordinary once a month. It's built by doing ordinary things exceptionally well every single day. Okay. So think about what we've talked about today. Successful agents begin their day by checking their dashboard instead of immediately going into emails. I had that habit, and then I wouldn't go into Revolve for at least an hour and a half later each day because my emails got me every time. So agents are completing their task before creating new ones. After every conversation, update notes while the details are fresh. Every active contact has a workflow guiding the steps along the way. You know, every client has a follow-up plan. At the end of the day, they leave their CRM and they're more organized than they found it that morning. You'd be surprised. And I know a lot of you, we don't want to be in the CRM all day. You don't have to be. In the morning, great, get a bird's eye view of what you need to do, go about your business, but at least check in with it again at the end of the day. Okay. None of these habits, they don't take very long. In fact, many of them maybe take a minute or two. But over the course of the weeks, months, years, those small habits, they compound into a business that's organized, it's predictable, and much less stressful to manage. So before we finish, I want to leave you with a simple checklist as a guide to moving forward. Okay. If you remember nothing else from today's session, remember these 7 habits. Okay. This checklist is something that you can come back to again and again. Okay. First, keep your database healthy. Every phone number, every email address, every note adds value to your business. Second, make sure every active contact has a purpose. If someone is sitting in your CRM with no workflow and no follow-up plan, that's an opportunity waiting to be missed. Third, trust your daily task. There's help for you to focus on what matters each day. Fourth, automate the routine work. Technology should, reduce those repetitive tasks so you have more time to focus on those meaningful conversations. Fifth, personalize your communication. Templates save time, but relationships are built through those personal connections. So yes, automation is great, but a little personal touch on those manual emails, take the time. And sixth, don't let the relationship end at closing. I can't say this enough. Continue showing up for those clients through newsletters and those updates and anniversaries. Provide that value. I know many of you heard me say this time and time again. When you're emailing them, buyers, sellers, long-term, provide the value. Okay. And finally, just step back each week and review the health of your business by, visiting the dashboard. Small adjustments made consistently often present much larger problems down the road. So you don't need to master all 7 tomorrow or this week. In fact, I would just encourage you to choose one. Master that habit first and then build on it. Okay. I don't know if we have any questions, Amber, but I do want to, while we have a few minutes, I want to go ahead and I want to share with you what's coming soon to Revolve. I'm going to go ahead and I want to share screen with you really quick. And I am on my beta test for RV. Amber, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see this? Awesome, thank you. So what's coming soon to Revolve? Well, a lot of you have been asking about our lead tracking. So this is my beta account. This isn't my actual account that I use, but what's coming soon here is going to be this Ellis AI dashboard. And when you click on it, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to come over here to the left to my leads, and it's going to show me my lead dashboard. So it's going to show the full name, emails, phone numbers, the type of lead that they are, the lead status. It's even going to go and show me the ROI investment as well, excuse me. So that is coming soon, final stages in this. So I'm really excited for this release. And then also I want to show you is, whoops, back over here. LSI AI. I think you all are going to appreciate and like this one. So as I scroll down, at some point, I'm not sure if they're going to reorganize this, but I'm down here in this Ask Direct Ellis, and I am going to I'm going to drag and drop a copy of my listing agreement or my purchase contract. I'm going to drag and drop and put that file in there, and I'm going to ask Ellis to create a transaction for me. And then what it's going to do, it's going to read that contract, not necessarily all the fields, but it's going to go ahead and it's going to add the transaction. It's going to create the address, the buyers, the sellers, acceptance date, closing date. It's going to bring in majority of the information. So this we're really excited about to be able to bring that in. I also believe that they are bringing, if you have an import you want to do, we're going to be able to drag and drop the import here as well. And it's going to do a mass import for us with no issues with imports, because I know we have a lot of fields that we're very specific on. So that's going to be something exciting. So, our dev team is working on this area. So it's really, really awesome features that we have coming soon. So I just wanted to share that with you as a sneak peek. And so just kind of get back over here and share this tab instead. And closing thoughts, just really quick. Some of you may be brand new to Revolve. Others have been using for a while because I recognize some of those names. No matter where you are, there's always an opportunity to improve one part of the system. Okay. So as you're thinking about today's session, I'd love for you to share one takeaway in the chat, if you don't mind. What's one habit that you'd like to improve? Maybe it's something keeping your database cleaner. Maybe it's finally committing to your workflows. Maybe it's becoming more consistent with your past client follow-up. Whatever it is, write it down. Research is consistently showing us that when we identify one specific action that we're going to take, it's more likely that we're going to be to follow through. Okay. Before I wrap up, I want to, number one, thank you all for coming. Whoops, let me get rid of that. I'd like to thank you all for joining us, but before you all go away, I want to share with you, I am going to be sending you all a copy of this recorded webinar. And in that email will also be a kind of like a PDF supplemental workbook that goes alongside this. So you can actually review the recording, but also a PDF workbook that maybe you can jot some things down for yourself. So I want to let you know that that's going to be coming. And so again, I want to thank you all for joining me and Amber today. I hope today's session has given you a little, fresh perspective on what a CRM can really do for your business. Revolve isn't just a place to store contacts, it's a place to build consistency and protect your relationships and create the better client experiences. Okay. Ultimately, it's going to be a place that gives you more confidence and nothing is going to be overlooked, so think of those habits, small habits. They may not seem significant in the moment, but over time, they create a remarkable business. So I'm here if you ever have any questions, lisa@revolve.com. If you have any questions regarding the software, you're having any issues, submit a support ticket or email our team, support@revolve.com. Thank you for spending, part of your day with us. We really appreciate you being here and being a part of the Revolve community. I hope that you all have a wonderful day and look forward to seeing you at our next webinar.